Starting.
Do I smell like 12 puppies also? I transported 3 puppies today,
Good
so I
job.
smell like
Good job.
all sorts of animals, God knows from where, so. They're very excited about it. How are you guys all?
He's working on you.
Hey, Rich,
Oh, Mr. Philly, get a girlfriend?
it must have been a peanut butter.
I won't tell. I won't tell.
Thank you.
He's so cute.
Yeah, thank you, Reggie. Really appreciate it. Love you too. I love you too.
Well, since we can't get the projector to work, we will go. with
Well, here, I'll
that.
take the clicker this time. That's
Okay,
easier.
yeah, so the button,
That's just round one. Yeah.
We'll be getting ready to take.
Ah, you so tricky.
We'll be taking notes.
okay, so the down button is the progress forward, the up button is progress back.
Do we have the flexibility to put the laptop on the table? So they can kind of look at it if they want to?
Probably not.
Okay. That's okay. I just.
Reggie, Max is my girl.
We cannot.
Please don't worry.
That's the, we're gonna do our best, and then I think, Will, you're gonna put it on, you have the opportunity to put it on the
Yes.
website if you'd like.
So,
If he doesn't like it though, he's not going to, so I'll need to know that every time invited back or not, of whether it shows up on the website.
maybe to attract some other people, we can start with that.
Ready?
Get over here.
Hey, everybody.
It should be.
Come
It should be on there. Okay, Mike.
on, Max.
Hey, everyone.
Dennis?
Hello.
Hello, Reggie.
Thanks, Monty.
No. We'll say- say one more time.
Hello.
How am I not loud enough?
Oh.
No, I'm not. Okay. No, you did something. Right? I was talking. I'm not gonna remember to hold it. Hey, everybody at the park, we're getting started on a presentation on dog body language. If anybody is interested in coming over and checking it out or wandering in and out, we'd love to have you and your questions. Okay, remind me when I put this down inevitably and forget about it, okay? I'm Tricia. I am the head trainer of the Dog Wizard in Burlington. Will signed up to bring me down here last night and tonight to talk to you guys about understanding dog body language and how to read that. And then go through questions. So last night we had a bunch of folks ask like more specific scenarios about their pups or when they see things happening. We had a pretty good real-time demonstration with some live models, Jasper and Maisie most particular, and they did great. So I work just for training background. My background is actually in engineering. I started doing dog training years ago and then took a sabbatical from my quote unquote career and have been here for a while now to do this. I do a lot with the foster and rescue community in New England as well. And then I focus mostly in balance training. So if anybody is familiar with that, that's using all four quadrants, fractions, and rewards to communicate to the dog. But body language is interesting because it tells you a lot of what you need to know about a dog from afar or from close, but you have to keep in mind that it takes two to tango, so to speak. So you're going to observe your dog's body language, like right now, Moxie, right on the table, right? She's a little bit alert, she's pretty calm and relaxed, but if, depending on the dog that comes up there, she's going to react in some way. Now, maybe not have like quote unquote reactivity, but they're consistently aware, constantly aware of what's going on around them, and their demeanor can change, right? They feed off each other's energy. So just like in conversation, right, you are giving and receiving. So same with dogs' body languages. They are always giving and receiving. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I assume this is interactive.
It is interactive as you will make it. I can only be one way.
Well, I'm just familiar with a lot of people, you know, you ask them a question and just look at you like.
Well, I'm also now just going to look at you like that, but then I'll answer your question after. Is that okay? Perfect. I got this covered. Awesome. All right. So dogs typically use their body as a whole. So who can tell me areas, parts of the dog to look at to read their body language? Anyone?
That's the
Tail,
the eyes, the mouth,
ears,
the mouth,
mouth,
body,
body.
the legs.
There's one more that is often not observe, and it's really important to me, and it is the nose. So the nose, right? So one way to tell between dogs fixating and just kind of hanging out and like their level of fixation is looking at if their nose is working. So dogs' primary sense is their nose. With humans, our primary sense is vision, right? Our nose is fourth, I think, actually, for dogs, vision is third. So if a dog is sniffing, which means their nose is twitching, you can kind of see it moving around, they're using 60% of their brain, which means that they don't have time or mental capacity, literally, to fixate on other things. So if you see a dog who looks frozen, but they're using their nose and you see their nose twitching, that's a sign that they're not fixating. Fixation is visual. Reactivity is visual. So if you ever are walking by a dog and you see it freeze in posture with the dog and looking at you with very intent eyes, that's a dog who is fixated, right? If you see a dog who's using their nose, they're trying to do their work and gain more information about what to do next. Kind of problem solving a little bit in their head and figuring out what's going on in their surroundings. That makes sense, everybody? Because if you pay attention to it, you're gonna see like how much dogs actually use their nose when they're relaxed and when they're not. It's fascinating. It's also another good reason why smell is so distracting to dogs. It's one good way to break their fixation is to wake up that sense. Okay, who said eyes? Somebody said eyes. All right, Miss Phil, what do you look for when you look at the eyes?
I like the eyes to be relaxed, looking straight ahead, not necessarily looking at you out of the corner of their eyes.
Shark eyes?
Well, dark eyes, will eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, the moon sliver,
Mhm.
and they're not really, they're looking, but they're not really looking.
Right. What about for like duration? Do you pay attention to how long they're looking at something?
Not as much as they probably should.
That's a great answer. So duration is important because the dog is fixating for a long time. The longer they fixate, the more engrossed they're getting. And duration and intensity is another really good indication that they are visually fixating on something and have some possible reactivity or worried about something happening, right?
So when Moxie sees that squirrel in the yard or the rabbit
Yeah,
in the
it
yard,
just kind of freezes and,
comes to the full freeze and just it
right?
does that,
And she's ready to bounce. Like you can see she's like on like a little bit on the balls of her feet a little bit. Like,
absolutely.
yes, that is visual fixation right there, which isn't a bad thing. It can turn out really well. The best way to figure out how, like it can turn around, right? The best way is to figure out how fixated your dog is if you can recall them back to you. So I told the group last night that if your dog doesn't have really good recall, you have no business being at a dog park. So I saved that for the end of the talk. I might have gotten some questions about that, but it's important because if your dog does engage in something or something is happening near them and you want to protect them, being able to recall them back is incredibly important. It's a life-saving skill. Okay, who said tail? Tell me what you look for in the tail.
I get confused by the
Okay.
tail because I know that like the waggy tail can also be a kind of anxious tail.
Yeah.
So like how, just trying to judge
Okay.
the different values of
Yeah.
that motion and
That's really good. So tail is something that most people just look at and they don't think about anything else. But it does mean many things, which is why you have to take the language of the body, the dog's body language into as a whole, right? So Moxie right now is kind of wagging her tail a little bit, especially when this dog started to run up. But it wasn't like a loose sway, right? It was a little stiffer and tighter. That's a more anxious or alert tail, right? It's not a bad thing. It's just saying I'm paying a little more attention, right? I don't feel like I have 100% confidence in my surroundings until I understand this information better. There's nothing wrong with that. So what you want to pay attention to is the height of the tail, right? So straight up is a concern, right? That's a dog who is on it straight up is a concern. No, I mean when you've got a dog whose tail is naturally up, that's different, right? But if like right, their tail goes all the way up and it's stiff, or wags but it's still a stiff wag, that's a warning sign for a dog, right? A loose tail, relaxed and calm, is chilled up, right? And a happy wiggle back and forth where their whole body is loose and their tail is loose is a good sign. So the wagging can be a little tricky. So you want to pay attention to how like fluid the motion is. Does that help a little bit?
I try and pay attention to look at it when he's not with other in the music
Mhm.
to get a sense of, sort of what's his baseline.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, pay attention for a second. How, do you know how your dog is at home, right? Like after they've eaten dinner and they're tired or something, and they're just kind of wandering around the house. That should be your dog's, you should see their tail if they have the physical ability to be in the most neutral position. That help? Yep. Mr. Bill?
I just was, something that I think about all the time. It's like, people look at the tail and they say it's saying this, they look at the head, they say it's saying that. And I sort of say, the body makes up a sentence.
Yes.
And if you read each word in the sentence, you're better like, you're more likely to understand what exactly the dog is trying to tell you as
Right.
opposed to just sort of like, oh, it's wagging its tail, it's happy.
Yeah, it's true. You're absolutely correct. It's a good point. I like the way that the body is a sentence because it is. And just like us, just because like maybe our hand is clenched, yeah, we might be nervous, but that's not necessarily what we're feeling overall or something, right?
Can I ask a question too?
Of course.
So are all dogs good at reading the signals of other dogs?
No, that's a great question. So socialization is the process through which dogs learn how to understand other dogs. And the most important time for that is when they're in their litter. So when you have dogs who come from a really strong breeder who pays attention and interacts with their dog, their puppies and has like breeds like parents who have good temperaments, those get passed on and they teach the other dogs those temperaments, right? And you see parent dogs correct typically by grabbing the scruff of the dog's neck. You also see them bite the dog over their snout sometimes with their nose. And then you'll see them do the standard kind of like verbal corrections or paws and things like that. So they're teaching the puppies how to play. And dogs, like if they grew up in a litter without any human intervention, right? And you had like them out in the wild, they'd be perfectly well socialized. Humans come in and we put our own emotions in it. So we very easily imbue what we're feeling and our like standard baseline into our dogs. And so that's something we have to be really careful of. So I have had clients who say, well, I just take my dog to the dog park because I feel like, the other dogs can just teach her how to behave. That's not their responsibility, right? You're putting that pressure on other dogs and that's not fair for several reasons, right? The other dogs, they may still be learning, right? They may not be the type of dog who actually wants to come in and correct. So if you're asking a very submissive, back of the pack dog to correct your dog when it does something wrong, and then not reinforcing that correction, that submissive dog is going to become fear aggressive and they're going to react badly. So we want to pay attention to our dogs and the social cues that they give. And if your dog is not taking a cue for whatever reason, that's a really good time to come up and grab your dog, recall your dog so that they learn, so they can break that fixation, but then they can also kind of learn a little bit like, hey, here's how we behave. And indirect socialization, so just walking around this park, for example, with your dog on a leash, is just as important as direct social, outside of the park. Outside of the park. So you're shaking your head.
Well, you should walk around the park.
Around, yeah, outside of it, like in the parking lot. So being like near dogs, for example, I guess is what I'm trying to say, being near dogs but without directly interacting with them. So indirect socialization is just as important as direct.
We kind of discourage people having their dogs on leash because their energy goes right down the leash to the dog, and if they're anxious,
Yeah,
their dog gets anxious, and that's when we have the most problems.
yeah, you'll see, that makes complete sense. You'll see a lot of trainers bring their dogs to dog parks that have like big areas on the side, like if it's near like a soccer field or something, and walk their dogs far away from the park so that they're still exposed to the sounds and environments of dogs without that direct interaction. Yeah,
We do have the training yard, which is advantageous for us.
I learned about that last night. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty nice. Yeah, I've been thinking about it. Don't worry. Yeah, but those are great examples, right? Where you get your dog exposed to other dogs without necessarily that direct interaction. Because if your dog can't be calm meeting a dog, seeing a dog on a leash from, 50 feet away, you're going to have a dog who's going bananas from 5 feet away. And so dogs need to learn to be social in every situation. Did that answer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so for ears, who said ears? Say yours.
Take a couple of the cities.
I think I'm gonna pick on you. What do you look for with the ears?
I look for whatever, standing up, or pencil up, or this, going down.
Yeah.
She has very long ears,
Mm-hmm.
but, this is what she was thinking. Pray or.
Yeah.
Black.
Right.
When she gets afraid, she's. Tired, they just let go.
Is this one yours? This letter, yeah, exactly. So they're high, that's great. So the ears are a lot like a tail, right? Where you can see their position versus neutral. And the higher they are, the more like higher they are gravity wise, not necessarily on their head, the more alert they tend to be. And you'll also see with the tail and body or the ears and body posture, they'll move in the direction the dog wants, is thinking it may have to move. So an alert dog's ears are kind of up and forward, right? A scared dog's ears are usually back a little bit. So like the same with the body, is like they're already kind of telling you like, hey, I might have to move in this direction. I'm showing you everything I can. It's like you backing away from like somebody really creepy walking by, right? Like every time I see Will, sorry, I had to. Get off your phone, pay attention. So it's the same thing. Your dog is already going to try to tell you that kind of stuff, right? With the mouth, it's a little tricky. Dogs pant when they are hot or when they are in a level of mental stress, which could be negative stress or it could be learning stress. So like in a level of mental work, they're having to pay attention to something. So anytime I started dog on like a sick leave, their owners were like, oh my God, he's panting so much, it's only 60 degrees out. I'm like, he's panting because he's thinking a lot, right? This time he's just thinking about what he has to do. You also want to pay attention to if the teeth are showing, the gums are showing, and where the tongue is. So floppy tongue here, this is a good sign. And this beauty, floppy tongue, very chill. When your dog starts to get its mouth corners back a lot, and panting, that's a sign that your dog is stressed. When the mouth is kind of narrow, but like the back corners are open, that's typically a stress sign. All right, any questions so far?
I'm glad you brought up the tongue thing, because I don't think we mentioned the tongue as part of the sentence.
Okay, yeah, so the tongue like hanging out and like this and just like panting, and loose is just a chill signal. You'll also see the dog lick their lips as a sign of appeasement, saying like, I'm not a threat. Like this, I'm a little nervous, but I don't want to hurt you kind of thing. And I think in one of these photos, we'll see if I can find it, but it does show like the tongue out can also be for some dogs, like a submissive or fear thing. So which is another reason why it's still the body's a whole sentence. You'll look at everything. You do, you have to look at everything. And so you can't just tell from the way the tongue is. Typically like the tongue out and to the side is usually a pretty chill sign. And every dog, just like humans have like body language doesn't apply, same body language doesn't apply to everybody. It's the same way with dogs. So you want to look at all of the signals that a dog is giving you. So the tongue out, especially like after running around, right? That's a dog who's trying to cool down. But a tongue out and teeth kind of showing a little more alert is a different thing. Again, it's what I'll see if I can find some good like real life photos of that.
Keep showing it like a pretty common sign.
The teeth showing is a common sign. Yeah. Yeah. So teeth, so like the lip licking, the teeth, the snarling, the showing the teeth, the whale eyes, the shark eyes are all kind of like your bottom levels of the ladder of escalation for dogs. And those are usually signs that they're saying, I'm not comfortable. And depending on what they're giving, so the lip licking and the whale eyes is like telling the other dog, like, I'm not a threat. But then showing teeth, growling is saying, okay, that didn't work. You didn't listen to me when I said I wasn't a threat. So now I'm showing you I'm a little bit stronger than you thought I was. Right? So they can move up those levels of, is this one yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, the way she's just staring at you. Yeah, the way, so they move up that level. The same way like humans' voices get higher and our body language gets bigger. So they give different cues.
Do you think that them showing their teeth is like a very strong rule? They should be like.
It depends on how they're showing their, no, not necessarily. It depends on how they're showing their teeth. Again, like everything is, if a dog is standing up right here. What are these shows? So here, this is, if you can kind of see it, right, this is more of an aggressive defense standpoint or a dominant defense standpoint. So the dog is showing its teeth like this, but its whole body is alert also, right? Its whole body is positioned and ready to move forward and is showing tense. If we go back to like, so scared is showing a little bit of panting. Yeah, and then the calm and playful, so it just depends, right? So just like a little bit of teeth snarling like that is a warning, like, because you'll see a dog do it for like half a second and then stop. So anything that a dog does like quickly and then lets go is typically like a warning sign, right? If a dog is standing there baring their teeth like this consistently, that's a problem. So if a dog is going like dog to dog chatting and they are showing their teeth and the other dog is listening, right? Both of them are kind of like their body language is calming down together, then it's typically okay. But you want to look and take in nothing's black and white, unfortunately. So you want to take in everything else.
Question when they're interacting,
Yeah,
because Moxie likes to play with the dog, Lacey, that's like about 10 months, 7 months, something like that. And they'll be going at each other with their mouths open and it keeps gnashing and everything like that. But you look at them and you know that they're just playing because of the way that Moxie will surrender or Lacey will surrender, roll on the back, like expose their throats and stuff like that.
yeah.
And I guess that happens a lot more frequently than we give it credit for. Moxie does that with a lot of puppies and a lot of other dogs.
Yeah.
And she exposes her throat and
They're play fighting. So the same way like humans play doctor or teacher, dogs play fight, right? Kids play fight too, right? Yeah. So dogs fixating, then using her nose, and then fixating, then using her nose. So there's something over there that's got her attention. So dogs, especially bully breeds, play vocally, so very loud and big. And so when they play with their mouths open like that, it's like a couple of very good things, which is like they back off from each other and then one shows their throat and they come back together. So they're doing a dance, right? They're reading each other and like, okay, escalating and we take a break and then we come back. And we're each taking turns being more vulnerable by showing our throats or being more dominant by being on top, right? And so that's another thing, like your sentence, right? It takes more than a second you can't just do a snapshot of the dog's body language usually. You need to see how like, a couple of seconds of it to see how it's going. Now it's very easy to understand like if something's going to escalate very quickly, right? So a dog like that is also learning bite inhibition. So they're learning how to use their mouth and bite without hurting another dog. It's a really good skill. It's really good, especially when you think about like a dog who has no idea how to play and then all of a sudden like has a little kid or something off the bed and they're playing tug and like they don't have any bite inhibition. They don't realize they're going to hurt that kid. They're not typically trying to bite that kid, right? But so exactly, and that's why the other puppies teach them. So like you'll hear puppies do their like all of their attention, right? Because that's like a pretty general universal sound of little dogs make that like, oh, that hurt, that cough, chill out. And they're usually like, oh, okay, sorry. And then they go again. So you've got to take all of it into consideration. It's like having a big open mouth and play biting is very different than sitting there and snarling and showing your teeth. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. What else? All right. So calm and neutral dog. Yeah. So calm and neutral dogs are dogs who are saying basically, hey, I'm confident here. This is cool. I'm just going to hang out. I may play if I want to. I may not. But right now, like I don't have a care in the world. Their body language is very loose. Their tail is usually down and chill. They may be wagging their tail a little bit. They may not. They're usually going to stand on all four pads of their feet. So we talked a little bit about the fixation in the dogs kind of being forward on their legs. A calm and neutral dog is not in a position to like run. They're not thinking that they might have to be like at the starting line of a race to get and go anywhere they want. Calm and neutral dogs are typically, they may engage in play if a dog comes up to them. But if they don't want to, then they give a proper signal and the other dog ignores them, then they're fine, right? So any dog can change in a few minutes, right? They're, what's going on with them. So you can see a common neutral dog go from there to maybe like engaging in play. Or you could see it like all of a sudden, like some dog is being really rude and not leaving it alone, and it's gonna start giving a warning sign. It's gonna give a snarl, or it's gonna give whale eyes or a lip lick or something.
So that happens with my dog, so,
Which one's yours?
Milo, the
English.
Spaniel.
Oh, it's finger tail, yeah, got it. Mhm.
So he does not like dogs that don't get the food that he wants more space.
He's giving the cue, he wants the dog to leave alone.
Yeah.
Right? And the other dogs, what happens if the other dogs don't listen?
Mostly I just take it out of the situation. I've gotten really good at recognizing, I think some of the smaller dogs that make a lot of noise, the
Mhm.
Frenchies can be a little hard for him because they seem to get really close. And adolescent dogs, not
Yeah.
these, but adolescent dogs.
Do you want to be careful pulling him out of situations if he's not the one not listening?
I don't pull them, I generally, it would happen, say here, and I just move on and he
Yeah.
follows me.
Yeah.
Like you're saying,
So it just depends, right? We want to make sure that we're not asking him to teach another dog lessons, right? But if he's doing something like engaging in like the play that Phil was talking, Mr. Phil, I'm sorry, Abby calls you Mr. Phil, I don't know if that's.
Call me whatever you
Alright,
want.
Mr. Phil talks about, right, like Moxie, or a dog is coming up to Milo and they're not reading Milo's signals. We don't necessarily want to assume Milo's uncomfortable, right? We want to pay attention and we want to, even if we see Milo freaking out for whatever reason, we have to stay calm, right? Because if we go up and we teach Milo every time a dog doesn't take his cue, just, I'm picking on you, not picking on you, I'm taking an example. We teach him like every time that a dog doesn't take his cue that we have to get out of the situation, he's could develop some fear, right? And he could say, oh, well, a dog didn't take a cue. My mom has this level of anxiety. I'm just making stuff up about you, right? I'm making stuff up. This level of anxiety about her. And so she's telling me, oh, I can't interact with dogs if they don't immediately listen to me. I'm just not going to interact with dogs anymore. And that can happen. So that's when we want to say, like, you know, is Milo a threat? Is this other dog going to take the cue the second time, maybe? And we have to judge, right? If it's a dog you know and an owner who's also watching, you could say, hey, just, if the pretty little setter here doesn't listen, yeah, call her out because it's kind of annoying, right? But we want to be respectful about it, right? So how old is Milo?
3 now.
Okay, so she should be pretty well developed. So we just want to make sure that we're not overreacting to situations because dogs are better communicators to each other than we are to them. And we have to give them that opportunity without putting them in danger. Is that,
Yeah, that makes sense.
any questions on that? That's kind of a complex.
Well, it's great when another owner understands and
Right,
participates in that sort of
Yeah.
exploration, which does happen, you know, there are lots of various.
right.
And it doesn't happen with great frequency. or anything.
Now, do you mind come standing right here? Do you mind if I touch you? Like, are you okay? So if you're standing here and you're playing and I come up and I'm like, oh my God, come on, we gotta go. That's gonna create a complex for Milo. But if you come up and are like, hey, I got a treat, let's go, right? That's different, right? It's all about how you're good. You're fine, you can hang out here. It's all about how you are telling the dog to feel in that situation. Even if I have a dog coming up and my dog has been, you know, in different scenarios, different fosters and things like that, you have to be calm about it or you are going to escalate the situation or create an emotion in a dog that doesn't exist. Yeah,
I'm going to have to leave, but I have a quick question.
of course.
What is Reggie can't stop licking Philip?
Okay.
As you made it go.
She gets people, but she can't stay away. What is that? What does that mean?
So there's a couple of things that could be happening. One is he's letting her.
Well, yeah,
That is the bottom line. Because she says, just push Reggie away, and I go, I push him away, and it comes right back like a boomerang.
He likes it, right? If other people don't stop him, he'll continue to lick their faces or no?
It doesn't. Just gives
This
us
is to me.
Yeah, so that's a bond. He cares for you in some way. You may also just have like really good smelling shampoo or moisturizer or something, right? Like my little sister picked up a dog once. We were kids, and she got to go pick out the Roddy. We used to get Rod when we were young. And the litter, and she was got this one, she's like, oh, it loved me so much, it was so great. Ended up being the dumbest dog we've ever had in our entire lives, right? And we're like, Grace, why did you pick that dog? Oh, but she just couldn't stop licking my face. And how we were like, oh, is that because you wear the orange flavored face moisturizer every day? So there could be a lot of things. If your pup is listening when Phil asks it to stop, then there's not an issue, in my opinion.
I don't know that he's ever done
I
that.
don't think I've ever asked him, when do you stop? I'm usually just sort of like,
I would ask him to stop only to determine if there's that level of respect there.
Okay.
Right? If he doesn't stop when you ask him, then you do need to reestablish some boundaries. Right.
I will start to take responsibility for our.
I mean, if you're both okay with it, because some people love it, if you're both okay with it, that's fine. But it's like I tell people, like, if you want your dog on the furniture, make sure they know how to knock it on the furniture first. And then teach them how to get up and invite them.
So it just means that the things so
It's very likely it's just a saline thing. But it is also, like maybe that's just over time the dynamic they've created. And maybe, when he does that, you enjoy it. I don't know. And he's feeling like, oh, we're bonding here. This is cool. Yeah.
Wendy is not the only dog that will do that. A lot of them go up, they put both paws on my chest,
Yeah.
and then it's attacking your face.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I know I'm having health issues. I know you guys are trying to reach out to me and bond with me.
They probably also just read your energy, right? And you are probably very calm, because one of the things that you said, and Abby trash talking you, it seems like you are calmer and they enjoy your presence, right? Again, if a dog is invading your space in any way, you want to make sure they know how to not do that before you let them do it. Otherwise, they think that, oh, this is my space, this is my person, this is my face.
Okay, I will step up to that.
Does that help? Are you trying to get me to tell Phil to leave your dog alone? You're trying to get me to tell him to leave Reggie alone?
Go ahead, detail
No,
it. through.
no,
Go ahead.
I'll be the bad guy, it's okay.
It's my dog.
I got you.
You just can't sit with them.
No, it's all good.
I was going to ask you a question about a situation. It's good to see you. You guys, have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
There are,
Thank you for stopping by.
there are
Thank you
people
for
who come to the
doing
dog park with impacted dogs.
Okay.
One of them the other day would not leave Moxie alone. And the owner did absolutely nothing to discourage his dog from continually trying to hump Moxie.
Okay.
How should I approach that?
Okay.
Because I was really not a happy camper, so I know what she was, I could see her on just getting to the point where she was gonna do something.
Mhm.
And I would time her out, and she doesn't deserve the timeout.
So what does the timeout look like?
You get time on camera.
You would time Moxie out? Okay. So the way I may handle that, if Moxie's not doing anything wrong, and again, I'm just going off the information I have right here, right? So it's hard to say like what
Yeah.
other things may have been happening.
Yeah.
I would recall her.
Yeah.
Moxie. Come here. Come here. Moxie. You would recall? Come here, girl. Come here.
You know your name.
Hey, girl. I would recall her. Hey, girl, what's up? And then I would take her to do something fun, just the two of us. Yeah, let's go. And if that other dog came up, I would physically block it out of our space, so facial pressure.
Okay.
And then if you're, so if Moxie's not doing anything wrong, we don't want to punish her.
Right.
We can invite her out of that space, but still do something that she likes, so she doesn't see it as a timeout.
Right.
We can also then create space for her, right? So if that other dog does approach, spatial pressure is usually a very good tool.
Okay.
And it's much easier for humans who do not understand dogs to understand when a human's like, hey, can you get your dog away? Versus when a dog's like, hey, can you get your dog away? So if you're, come here, I'm gonna borrow you again, please. Who's you? What's your name?
Gwen.
Sorry. Gwen, I'm Tricia, hi. So Gwen comes up and I'm like trying to get her out of my face. I'm like, Phil, can you just come deal with her, please? Like, hey, do you remember calling your dog? Remember all things a break, right? Versus if I'm just talking to your beautiful Springer here.
Right, okay.
So
And then that is,
does that help?
that's how I'm preparing for my next encounter, should it happen.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, excuse me, sir, could you control your dog?
You could also just say, so the best thing to do is to get your dog to a safe space first without punishing her if she's not done anything wrong.
Yep.
Right? And kennels are not for dogs who do things wrong, but they are for like chill out, decompression for sure. But what I would recommend is just recalling her into something with you, even if that's putting her in a sit or a down by your side. That's not a punishment. That's just take a break with me. I'm your person. You love me. So she still feels valued and like she's not threatened with this other dog, like she's doing something wrong. And then especially if that other dog approaches, you can use facial pressure. And we can talk about that some more if you want, to kind of create space for you and Moxie. Right?
Yes.
And then it's totally okay to say to that human being, hey, he's kind of following her around a little more than I'm comfortable with. I'm gonna try to like, do my part to keep her moving, but if you see him, do you mind just recalling him out of it? I have that conversation on the side.
Okay. I
But
think this guy is probably breeding the dog, so
okay,
that's why it's still intact.
so the conversation about intact and when to spay or neuter it's huge, and there's a lot of compelling arguments on both sides. And it honestly sometimes becomes down to a individual dog versus the dogs as a whole, right? We only started spaying and neutering so young to control population. For many large breed dogs, there are studies that show that their bodies are not fully developed until after they go through for females heat or through puberty for males, right? And puberty for both, but they're different measurements. And that's why you see a lot of things like hip dysplasia in larger dogs who were fixed early. So and again, I'm a scientist, I'm not a veterinarian. I'm a blood here. But they will, your veterinarian, many veterinarians would like to do x-rays of the dogs to make sure, especially large breeds, that their bones are fully formed and everything before they spay or neuter. It is a choice that you can make, provided your dog is not a rescue, which in the state of Massachusetts, any rescue dog has to be spayed or neutered, or your dog does not come from a lineage where a breeder has said you have to do this, right? You just have to use, now Moxie is fixed.
Yes, she was born in Lowell Humane Society, September 10th, 2019.
Right, so she's absolutely.
5 siblings.
She's pretty. So that's one risk you don't have to worry about. I mean, that doesn't make it better. I'm not saying that. That's tough. I would do your best to protect your dog as opposed to trying and get her out to do something fun. If you can. And if that ever happens again, just try those tools. I can go over a little bit with you afterward if you want. If you have any questions on how facial pressure would work in that situation,
Well,
or what it looks like.
sounds like the first thing to do is to invite Moxie to relocate and just spend some time with me.
Absolutely. There's plenty. This place is huge. So even if you just take a lap for a minute, right? That dog may go find somebody else. Like not only you can just walk around with her or whatever.
Yeah.
The dog may find somebody else, right? And then, after that, you have to utilize whatever escalation you have within the group. If the owner is not helping, right?
It's all fine until the dog fixates on safety and owner.
You know, that's what I do.
No, I understand, and thank you for, because I've racking my brain trying to figure out the best way to approach it.
Yeah.
As you said, Moxie shouldn't be the one suffering timeout.
Right,
Because she's gonna associate that with the property, with the
Right.
activity.
right.
So, this dog's name is Loki, it's a big Rottweiler.
Love me to body, but yeah, I
It's
mean,
twice as big as that husky, is it?
yeah, yeah, you could also just like slip them that pamphlet and be like, hey, talk to her.
So they come down to
It's an
that.
option, yeah.
I am not bashful about opening my mouth, and I'm getting less bashful. I'm studying at the school as well.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that. I am happy to hear
The rest of the people in Park aren't, but that's okay.
So-
The touchpad won't work while the
Okay.
mic is connected.
I'm just gonna try to.
You want to-
use it
Is
for a
that
second.
PowerPoint presentation available to purchase?
No, Phil can put this on the website for you. Yeah, Phil can put this on the website for you. Okay, so I just want you, I don't know if Phil told you guys we are recording and not putting it on Zoom right now. Okay, that's all, we're good then. We're good.
Well, we've tried it before, so
Okay, I just,
sometimes it works.
sometimes I forget to mention that at the beginning. So, all right, calm and neutral. All right, thank you. So excited and playful, right, is the kind of dog who looks like they're bouncy, ready to move. On their feet, moving around, play bowing, jumping, you'll see the dog kind of like bounce back and forth a lot, engage, this is that reciprocal play. Play back and forth. So for a dog who is alert, so this was a really good thing that just happened here where, so right now, who is this beautiful husky? What's her name?
Kobe,
Colby? Colby, she?
Kobe.
Thank you. He is in a stance that is like halfway between calm and alert. And he's pretty chill, but it can be like if his head were to stop moving like it had a minute ago, we might wonder if he's fixating on something. So this is a perfect example of where the dog we want to pay attention to more than just a single photograph. Because he was kind of moving his head back and forth, looking around, using his nose a little bit. That shows us that he's not super fixated, right? He's just paying attention, even though his stance could be a little bit in a snapshot, could be viewed as fixated, right? Or alert. And so that's kind of what we come back to. And right now, Moxie is using her nose a ton. And it's funny, as soon as you pointed out, people are like, oh my God, I never realized how much my dog uses their nose. So like, she's alert, but she's not in like an alert state that's a problem or anything. She's still pretty chill. She's just calm taking it in. She's not in a position where she looks like she's ready to pounce or anything like that. So the two, I kind of tell people when your dog is alert or anxious and nervous, which is the kind of like, I don't know if I want to go over there, and my tail is tucked a little bit, my body language is getting low. That's like a moment where you say, okay, I'm going to look for more information, right? That's a dog who is trying to also gather more information and figure out what they want to do. So for alert and nervous, those are typically dogs who just need some confidence or some time to adjust. And you want to, again, say, okay, I'm noticing these signals in my dog. I'm going to give a second while it thinks, and I'm going to look for cues to show me that it's thinking. And those cues look like a paw up, a lip lick, turning around, a nose lick. So those are all calming signals, right? So like, okay, I'm taking it in, all right. I'm not a threat in this situation. And they're telling other dogs that they're not going to escalate any kind of way, right? And we look for those signals, and then typically a dog, after it stops making those signals, right, the lip licking or the paw up, it makes a decision, essentially, that it's okay, right, and it's going to continue with the movement or whatever, or that it's time to retreat, in which case their body language is going to be different. So these are kind of like intermediate positions for dogs that we want to pay attention to just to see where they go from there, right? And these are another ones that people are like, oh, it came out of nowhere. And it's like, no, it didn't. It started somewhere, right? And these are some of the key starting points that we see. The other two that are like, these could escalate quickly. You have a dog who is really scared, which is a different level than the anxious and fearful. Like the anxious and nervous dog is still pointing toward, like still willing to kind of move in that direction and curious and check it out. The dog who is scared is like, I don't want to be here. I'm shrinking, but I'm standing by here. I'm not looking like I'm a threat or anything. I don't want to be here, right? The other side of that is a dog who is submissive, which is submissive is a defensive state, right? There's play submission and there's relative submission, right, to other dogs. But then dogs who are submissive are typically dogs who are very scared. They roll on their back and they're doing everything they can to make themselves vulnerable to say, I'm not a threat. I'm not escalating. I'm not a threat. But also not that but I don't want to be. This is like dogs who like, people talk about dogs happy feeding. It's not really a thing. It's an overwhelm of anxiety, right? And then they can't necessarily control, right? It's a confidence thing. And so submissive defense is very different again than submissive play, which we talked about, like Moxie rolling over. I'm just annoying. Right, rolling over, showing her throat and things like that, versus the dog who is literally laying dead, trying to get out of something. So when you have a dog who is scared and backing away, that is a dog who can escalate into fear aggression. So they're saying, I'm getting smaller, I'm moving away, I'm moving away. There's a wall here, I can't move anymore, I don't have another defense. This is when they're gonna start, right? When that scared dog all of a sudden goes from being scared to having to protect itself differently. I'm sure we've all seen that.
Yeah.
Right? And that can be hard. We don't want to force a scared dog into a situation ever.
Yeah.
We really want to give them guidance and confidence. When you have, dogs who are scared or in that kind of submissive state, when we look for signs that they are coming out of it in a good way, we want to see the dog shake. We want to see it sniff, and we want to see it scratch. So those are all things. The shaking and the scratching is to release tension physically, and the sniffing is to occupy its brain somewhere else.
I don't know if I ever seen this.
Oh, of course, yeah. Of course, like, yeah.
That's good.
Do we need to talk to Reggie about this?
No, I don't think, Reggie's not here to so say, that's my face.
Yeah, I think they just like your face, and they also might just like your face, because the other ones like your face. Honestly. You know, it all happens, so, you will see dogs, you may have never seen them big, but it does happen, and a lot when like.
I'll look for it. then.
Yeah,
I'm
especially
thinking
like,
about a lot of dogs doing that, but I.
Yeah. and dogs will do it also like after play, if they've gotten really like high levels in play and they take a play bow and they back off, they'll shake to get some of that adrenaline and energy off before they come back.
Roxy,
Oh, you can make a.
going, hey, it's another piece.
Okay, so the next two that are very important that are, you need to understand what's happening and reevaluate are aggressive defense, which some people are like, oh, that's just a dominant dog. It's not. A dominant dog is a confident dog typically. Aggressive defense is a dog who is not confident, so therefore feels like they have to go on the attack. And so we talked about the submissive defense being hiding, right? Rolling on your back and like, I'm no threat at all. So more aggressive defense is I'm every threat in every way, right? And you will see things happen in periods of time, right? And so like we said, it's like it takes two to tango, so to speak. If I come up to you and I'm really aggressive and defensive and you say, oh, you're right, I was wrong, and I calm down, then we're good. But if I come up to you and I'm aggressive and defensive and you brace to the occasion, that's when we could have some issues because we have two dogs who may be battling it out and may not know how to take those social cues. Or if you keep coming at me, like we have dogs, like people are like, oh, my dog's so friendly, so friendly. So there's a thing as like friendly and social dogs. There's also a thing as rude dogs who don't stop, right? Like kind of, I think we were talking about dogs coming up to.
So, well, sometimes.
Yeah.
What about Loki and Lucky?
Right. Yeah,
Doesn't know where the
right.
boundaries are.
right. So that could be considered a dog who is rude, especially, but if you, I typically, when people are like, oh, my dog's so friendly, and then he doesn't leave somebody alone, right? He's over friendly, right? He's like intrusive. And so if you have a dog like that, who is the kind of over friendly intrusive, but not necessarily like confident and chill, an aggressive defense dog could become something because they're going to get tired of telling you to leave. Right? If you have a dog who is walking around at an aggressive defense level or who enters a space in that, they shouldn't be here. The way you enter a space is the mindset you have in that space. So we never want to cross a gate unless we're calm. We want to respect threshold manners and let our dogs like let us leave them. If that makes sense, right? And if you have a dog who is just being a bully, that's what that looks like all the time. This is not the same as a calm, confident dog giving a threat. And that's again where the split second, you have to take picture, not just a picture, but a little bit of the video. The other one is dogs who are fear aggressive. So this is a fear aggressive defense, which is the I'm terrified, I'm back in my corner.
Is that supposed to, sorry, is that supposed to be up on the screen? or-
Yeah, it's too bright, too much sun.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's gonna go sit on the website.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. okay, I will
Yeah,
get you to
please.
see that. Now I see, 'cause I see you looking and I was like.
I know, right? I'm cheating for me to not be aggressive. They're playing.
They're playing.
Oh my gosh, they are 100% playing right now. So what you want to look at, right?
When she makes that noise. Yeah.
It sounds like dinosaurs dying. My dogs do it all the time too. So, okay, so if I've got a situation like this, and I don't know if my dog is having fun or not, I wanna watch how they come together and come apart. See her shake it off? You guys see Moxie shake it off? Just had a little bit of energy and was getting it off to come down because she is too hot for, what's your dog's name?
Fiona.
Fiona. She's a little hot for Fiona. And that's why Fiona was having Moxie chase her. Now this is what we call third wheeling. Is that amazing?
Yep.
Sorry, amazing.
Good.
That
might have-
would have been a problem. If you have two dogs.
Girl. I'm back.
And the other two is you're standing on a hill.
Yeah,
looking
see,
over.
right? If you have two dogs, sorry. Right, if you have two dogs who are playing, they are connected to each other, right? It's like hanging out at the mall with like your boyfriend or girlfriend, and then somebody else comes up and starts hitting on your partner, and you're like, back off, right? If they all know each other, it's okay, and like they like wanna play together, it's fine. But third wheeling can become very disruptive because, oh my goodness, dogs are already expending their energy on the other dog and focus. So most dogs don't like third wheeling, the same way most humans don't like third wheeling.
She's one always.
I'm always one-on-one.
One of my resident dogs, he loves third wheeling because he doesn't know how to dog. He's never had that socialization group first even after his life. Change with gate in Arkansas, right? So like, it's important. So he learns and he's learned, so poor Maisie's like, I thought we were gonna party. Now, if you and I run up there and Moxie didn't follow her, then Moxie didn't want to play. If Fiona was trying to get away and Moxie was following her, and if Moxie then did what she did, where she took a step back and Fiona left, she didn't want to play. Or if she didn't stay to re-engage, she didn't want to play. But if you see two dogs who don't take those steps back, right, every once in a while, it can be hard. And that's when recall is really important. Again, hey, Moxie, come here, right? Now you listen to me. I see.
And now Maisie's,
She's so sad.
repping. No, she's repping.
Oh, she is. Okay, well, so do you see what's happening right now? Maisie's prepping. Fiona went up there and Fiona's inviting her to play. With the playback, she's absolutely inviting her, but this golden may also want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. No, this is great. This is great. And so Fiona doesn't seem to be too interested in the golden. And Maisie is totally playing coy. But the golden's also coming up with pretty chill posture and energy right now from this point of view. So, but yeah, that was Fiona going up to try to engage Maisie again. Notice when Maisie ignored her, she didn't go up and like get in her face about it. That was
Just recently that she started not doing this.
right. So this beautiful dog here wants to play and it's giving really good signals to Fiona that I
No
want to
one-
play.
She wants to, she's over the.
Right, but then Fiona's like, nah, I'm full right now, and the dog is then backing off. It came back up, right? But see, this is the dog not being, like, you see how it's not getting in her? I got confused. So Fiona was like, no, you're too close to me too many times, I'm gonna, right? If the golden were to follow her, Fiona would probably get her.
And go, Fiona's fixated on Maisie.
Yeah.
But the golden's kissing.
She's doing okay. Maybe like Fiona's not uncomfortable enough to do anything about it. I
She's got a stick.
right? So like you'll also find dogs who are just tolerant, right? Socially tolerant. And so what she's saying is like, yo, well, I don't want to play with you right now, but you're also not like making me uncomfortable. Second, okay, second. Now if the golden got in her face a lot and it's licking your face and, you know, pulling a Mr. Phil's face kind of thing, like, I might be like, enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's also that's elevated state. The dog takes elevation and status. So that's correct. It's funny that there's that spot up there. It looks like a lot of dogs like to go up there to play.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, there's two things going on there. One, that is their crouching spot where they like to pretend they're king of the hill. The other, there's a root right underneath.
Damn.
There's a root under there that they like to dig for and pull up.
Yeah,
And they also use that as a wrestling stick.
because it is, it's a high elevation and status to dogs. Oh, I'm not, sorry, elevation is status to dogs. Thank you for letting us pick on your beautiful dog. Yeah, they did great.
He's learning. He's a puppy.
Yeah, but he did a good job kind of, you know, backing off and then coming over again. Yeah, it was good. Fiona did a good job being patient with him too. Yeah.
You're learning.
All right, what other questions on that? Okay. I think those are like the big things on body language. I want to go over just a couple more. My setting up for success. So we talked about recall, how important that is. This was a great example, right, of where we may have needed to recall some dogs out if the energies were different, right? If we're here and we can't recall our dog out of something, we don't have a good way to help the situation. I'm not gonna be able to run there fast enough to do anything. Plus, me running up there is going to create a different level of energy. So a recall and an out command is their life-saving command, whether that is, I'm recalling you from crossing a street so you don't get hit by a car, or I'm recalling you from eating that chicken wing on the ground that is left everywhere in mold. Those of used chicken wings that you don't choke on it and die, right? It's life-saving. So if your dog doesn't have recall, you really need to tighten that up before you come to a dog park. Anytime you're gonna let your dog off, honestly. That's my personal opinion. So the park should not be used as their word, substitute for mental or physical exercise, right? It's a privilege, right? For the dog, it's a reward to be able to come here. And so it should be treated as supplemental. So you always want to make sure you're giving your dog proper mental and physical exercise before they get here. So practice calm, entering and leaving. So the dog is rushing the gates, right? And the dog is not going to listen to you if you try to recall it. Yeah, take a few laps in the parking lot or in the train, whatever space you have, if you need to get your dog calm before entering. Leave sick dogs at home, please. So, and then pick up after your dog. Most bacteria transfers through feces. Dogs love to eat other people's dog species because they just smell like they got, that's how they learned. They're using their noses like we talked about. The park is for your dogs to socialize with each other and for dogs to socialize with their humans. It is not for humans to socialize with humans and ignore dogs. So you need to have eyes on your dog. Otherwise, if you can't see and have your.
Excuse me, where's that crowd that needs to hear this? Come at 6 AM and then 2 PM.
It's never the people who show up and hear it. You're here to pay attention to your dog. You can't do anything about dog's body language if you can't see it. And like we said, a snapshot isn't good enough. You have to be paying attention and learning, and focusing on your dog. So, remember, nothing comes out of nowhere. No bites unless a dog is injured and you happen to touch an injured area or something like that. No bite comes out of nowhere. There's a great post on the Facebook page I've seen. He's got the escalation ladder for the dog reactions, right? So going from whale eyes and lip licking all the way up to bites. It doesn't come out of nowhere. We have to pay attention. Every dog has nuances in its body language, right? So we want to pay attention and learn our dogs. Awesome. So my stuff is on the table. If you guys want any, my name's Tricia again. We do mobile training and day trains and things like that. Come to you. I will come to you and your home and your home. And I also do private or day training, so I'll take 3 to 6 dogs a day in my creepy work van. With my, it's like one of those vans without any windows, but it's not we've got a crash. I say chicken for dogs, and I came with a little too. It's full of white, but I crazy there, obviously it's well, but I take dogs and do day trainings throughout the day for owners who may not have the time to do like the practice at home or something like that, to get dogs conditioned to different tools. Do everything from house training and basic obedience to behavior modification and e-collar work, off-leash work. Yeah.
Is it all on your website?
Yeah, so if you go to the website, they'll contact us, we have a group that does like our admin stuff. And they'll get you set up for our phone evals, free call with me essentially, and we can talk about anything. What's your name? I'm Tricia. Tricia. Yeah, I put it on here, probably not. I would if I had. There you go, yeah.
How many people forget they have a phone?
I forget how to, I wish I didn't have one. They asking the questions and being good guinea pigs only pick on you. Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't have invited that situation, we should be talking
Didn't he invite everybody?
I did.
Okay, checking.
I told many people earlier
I was just thinking
that were there. And I told, and so I took pictures, a few pictures so that they could be online. I guess that Zoom. I don't know if you're doing that, but.
It is on Zoom right now.
Well, it's.
Oh,
No one attended, but it's on Zoom,
No
it's
one
being
attended?
recorded.
Oh my God.
And I talked about different stuff last night too, so if you wanna listen to last night, to get different
Wow.
information.
No, I'm just shocked. Good to
I
know.
think it's hard, it's, the schedules
Yeah.
and stuff.
But now, I don't know, I'm not, but I don't know, can they record this? Is there a recording that you can watch it?
This was recorded.
So they can go back and
I'm
watch
gonna try and post it to our YouTube channel,
to.
the CDA's YouTube channel.
Okay,
So, yeah, just as a reminder for, everyone who is over there or here, this presentation was sponsored by the CDA to try and, get some information out there on recognizing dog body language. And the CDA will be, posting these both last night's and tonight's, presentations to our YouTube channel. I believe it's Chunks with Dogs, in YouTube. And also, we have a work party coming up the second Sunday in June, from 8 AM to 8 AM to noon, where we're gonna finish up the work that didn't get done during spring, put the tires in, finish the benches, do some summer cleanup, to prep the park for, 300 dogs through here in a day.
Wow, is that really?
Yeah, we will, in the summer, we will definitely get 300 dogs in a day. And additionally, on June 22nd is going to be our bark anniversary. It'll be the park's 8th anniversary. So we will have a cookout, have hopefully some vendors, some rescues, and just have a good time and celebrate the fact that we've been here and open for 8 years. And then look forward to additional seminars on body language, other topics that will be coming throughout the summer and fall.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for putting this together.
Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you guys, it was so nice, thank you for asking great questions and being attentive. Yeah. You don't have my number, actually. No, you have the number of the people who get you my number. I don't have my business card, my personal number, or my work number on them, they're all out, but I have to work on it, I apologize. But if you send us an email or call, we'll get you set up with it right away, yeah.
You're looking for it? Back?
My bird dog.
No, it's just-
Your neighbor.